Good afternoon and welcome to everyone who has decided to join this APSP chapter forum. My name is Brett Abbott. I am not the most important speaker here. I'm just one of the helpers. And I'm going to kind of kick things off to make sure everything is working from a GoToWebinar standpoint. Then we will turn things over to the real masters who are here. So I just want to make sure that everyone can hear me. This is a sound check. So if you will please locate the chat box that should be over to the right. If you don't see anything over on the right of your screen, you may have to find that red arrow, which really isn't a red arrow. It's a white arrow on a red background. But when we say red arrow, everybody knows what we're talking about. So find that, pop it open, and look for the chat box. And if you would just type in the chat box, yes, I found it. No, I couldn't find it. You talk too much. Whatever you want to say, just let us know you can hear us, all right? Appreciate that. Knowing where the chat box is helpful, not only for this sound check, but because throughout the presentation, you may have questions or comments you'd like to share. So at any point throughout the presentation, you feel free to type in whatever you want into the chat button. And we may not stop immediately, but we'll read your question and we'll get back with you at the appropriate time. Okay, let's see, come on. There we go. This is recorded. Sorry, there was a slight lag there. This is being recorded, so you will be able to share this with other members of your chapter at a later time, and I'm sure other folks will tell you all about that. That's enough of me. Let me turn it over to the one and only president of APSP International Galactic. That would be the one and only Mr. Larry Caniglia.
Thank you, Brett. Well, welcome everybody. I can see on my screen we're doing this technology-driven forum today so that you can see us and we can hear you, or at least take your questions. First of all, I wanted to, again, for those of you who tried to get onto the webinar last month when we first produced it live in Las Vegas at the Expo, we did have some technological problems, which we think we have now worked out between the end of October and now the end of November to try to make this forum work for those of you who were not able to attend the Expo in Las Vegas, so we can cover the same information that we covered there. So we've all had some practice, so hopefully it'll go very smoothly today, and we'll be able to update everybody around the country who is on the call today to let you know what we've been talking about. So just generally speaking, today is the chapter forum. It's very different from the ones we've done in the past. The idea for today is we really want to talk to those chapter representatives who are on the call who want to find out how APSP can help your chapter succeed, how we can help your chapter grow, and how we can help your chapter prosper. There'll be a number of speakers on, which we're going to talk about in a moment, explaining different aspects of it. But for now, I would like to turn the microphone over to Brett Abbott, who's going to walk through a couple of things today for today's agenda and go over some ground rules as to how the webinar will work, and then we'll proceed from there. So Brett, if you would mind, if you would take it from here.
Well, as a matter of fact, I think I already covered that about the recording and whatnot. So I think it's time to invite our mutual friend, Mr. Blanda. What do you think?
Sounds good. I'd like to introduce Bob Landis, everybody on the call. Bob, as many of you probably already know him, Bob's been around as a leader in the association for many, many years. He just rotated off of his 6-year stint as a member of the APSP Board of Directors. As you probably know, he is a past president of NESPA, past president of Metro Chapter, and has been on the Builders Council, CVP of the Year. You know, you name it, he has really been around a long time and has done a lot for the association and for the industry. The board really was sorry to see Bob have to rotate off, but under our guidelines and our board policies, Bob turned out from the board, but he agreed to stay on in a very special capacity. He is the chapter liaison to the board for this new initiative, which we're going to be talking about today, about how we're going to help, hopefully APSP can help our chapters around the country, as I said before, grow and prosper. So at this time, I'd like to turn it over to Bob, who would like to say a few words about the forum and what's going to be happening here today. Bob? Bob, we can't hear you. I can't hear Bob. Bob, are you on the phone or are you on the,
phone?
are you on the, if you're in the, there you go. If you're on the attendee mode, we can't hear you. You got to be on the presenter mode.
Okay. My apologies.
There you go. There you go.
Thank you so much, Larry. Hold on a moment. I'd like to thank everyone for coming to today's Chapter Development Forum. You know, as part of the APSC Board of Directors' new strategic plan, we've unanimously agreed that supporting our chapters and creating new ones is our top priority. And that's what we're here to talk about today. We've got initiatives and activities going on in 5 major areas, which is why I have 5 different guest speakers here to talk to you today. For an example, in a few moments, Regan is going to tell you how the Government Relations Group can support you, and not just at the state and national level, but also at the local and municipal level. Also, our Director of Training, Dr. Sylvia Uribe, is going to show you how you can help fund your chapter with some of our new cutting-edge training and certification programs. Then a good friend of mine and our marketing guru, Mr. Brett Abbott, is going to give you a quick refresher on all the amazing resources that are available to you right now to help your chapter leadership run these chapter meetings more efficiently. Andrea Wells, our WAVE coordinator, is going to tell you how our under 40 WAVE group is moving beyond national events and helping to develop WAVE groups and operations at the local chapter level. Last but not least, our new president, Mr. Larry Cornelia, will share with you some of other initiatives that will help you to use our ideas to create more successful and generate income to sustain the operations of the chapters on your own. Throughout this meeting, we're going to have plenty of time to ask questions and share your comments through this GoToMeeting webinar. Now, let me remind you, you're the grassroots of the association. We cannot thank you enough for your dedication and passion. You're the association's heart and soul. So with that said, please join me in welcoming our first speaker, our in-house government relations specialist, Regan.
All right, thank you. Slide.
On the slide. Down to it. There you go.
All right, so Jen will not be able to join us today, so I'm stepping in for her. And at the end, if there are any questions for the GR department, I'm going to try my best to answer them. And if I can't, she will definitely get back to you. So if I haven't met you guys, my name is Regan Ratliff, and I'm the Government Relations Associate. So what the GR team does, or what the Government Relations team does, we review over 2,000 local, state, and federal proposals a year. So please, chapters, make sure that you're getting these alerts and reach out if you have any issues coming up. Issues that we do work on. We work on pool and spa safety, building and health codes, energy efficiency, water conservation, drought, licensing, electrical, fiberglass, hot tub, lifeguard. So if your chapter needs assistance on any of these, please reach out to Jen or I, because the chapters are essentially the boots on the ground. So I know at Expo, Jen received a question that alerts come in last minute. Chapters don't know if there's going to be a local meeting until the day of. So I just want to kind of touch on this. We work with a tracking service called Stateside, and they do not receive the alerts until the day of as well. But I also want to note that Stateside is one of the only companies that does report on local, so we are very fortunate to be working with them. So please bear with us when you get last minute alerts, and let Jen or I know if you guys need any help. So one of the main projects the GR department has been working on is the International Swimming Pool and Spa Code, or ISPSC. No, it's a mouthful, but one of the goals is to get the code adopted in all 50 states. Another goal is to get contractors and inspectors on the same page with this goal. So with getting the ISPSC adopted, it means quicker installs, which also means greater customer satisfaction. So getting the ISPSC adopted also paves the way for licensing. But we want to make it noted that we recognize not every chapter wants licensing or is ready for it. So to end on that, I just want to point out that to date, there have been 164 local adoptions. I know that the slide says 152, but since this was created, we've got 12 more. So to date, or for 2018, that is 77 adoptions, which is great. So if chapters are conducting ISPSC outreach, we are here to help. The GR team can travel, we can help you with talking points. We do need local membership assistance, so if members can volunteer their time, we will also put in the time to help you guys. One of the key goals is to build relationships with local staff and building officials. That's where you're really going to get to the meat of the issue and have people help you. So the last step would be to purchase the ISPSC and really become knowledgeable about it, so then you can go and talk about it. And I forgot to mention the toolkit. That is just some documents that we can send you guys to help as talking points or leave behind documents for building officials. So here are some examples of where we've worked with several chapters and we've had successes so far. So one is when we worked with the GA chapter to advocate against decreased pool safety. Another time was when we worked with the Mid-Atlantic chapter to combat movement to eliminate lifeguard requirements in the NOVA, DC, and MD areas. Another time was when we are currently working now with the New England chapter to get legislation passed to require pool and spa licensure. And this is in Massachusetts, and hopefully this will be closed out by the end of the year. Last but not least, we've been working with the Austin chapter, the Greater Austin chapter, to eliminate restrictive pool construction regulations. So action steps for our chapters to take for getting GR requirements passed. There are 3 ways. To keep up with the GR, we send out alerts, so make sure you are getting those. Another way is through the newsletter. We send that out once a week, so please make sure you're getting that as well. And then if you aren't getting those, or if you want just another way to look at what we're doing, we have everything posted on the website. Another key thing is just keep building relationships with your state and local representatives, and let Jen or I know if you need any help. We're always here. So before I turn this over to our next presenter, if you have any questions, please enter them into the text box. And if I can't answer them again, I will have Jen help me out and we will get back to you.
Greetings, everyone. My name is Brett Abbott. I own a marketing consulting company that works exclusively in the swimming pool industry, but more importantly than that, I'm a board member and past president of the Austin chapter. In fact, a founding member. We've grown the Austin chapter from nothing to a fairly decent chapter at this point. And I've also was part of a task force formed a few years ago that was designed to try to figure out how to help chapters be more successful. Of course, we're hearing all kinds of stuff today about that, but specifically the group I was with, we focused on what could we do locally to make a meeting more interesting, make a chapter more successful. So we defined success as you had vibrant meetings, meaning they were interesting, lots going on, healthy attendance, strong financials in the chapter, and membership growing. So that was just our basis. Figured if you got those things going on, well, then you're a good chapter. So the main strategy we focused on to become a successful chapter was get butts in the seats. That's an old cliche, but it refers to, well, get people to show up to the meeting. And here's why. If you can get builders to or service companies, but if you can get them to show up to a meeting, well, then the suppliers are going to want to be there because they want to get a little face time with the builders. So you get the builders to show up, that'll bring the suppliers. When the suppliers show up, they bring funds. They can sponsor things. They can sponsor a happy hour. They can do all kinds of great things. When you've got funds to work with, you can have better meetings. If you have better meetings, then you're going to tend to get more attendees. It's an upward spiral. So it's all about getting as many people to show up as possible. Get butts in seats. So I'll talk about some of the things we've come up with that helps you get butts in seats. And this can all be done locally. You don't have to, you don't need corporate or national support for this. Step one, pick good speakers, okay? If you got some local celebrities, or for example, we've got a local engineer who specializes in the swimming pool industry, so we always give him about a 20-minute slot at every meeting to share a short construction tip about pool construction in general and or specifically to the codes in our city. So he's always a draw. Another guy that we brought in is a very successful pest control guy. Nothing whatsoever to do with the swimming pool industry, but he's a service company, and he's kind of a local celebrity, very famous. So I just picked up the phone one day and called him and said, hey, would you be interested in doing this? And he was happy to. It was a very powerful meeting a local celebrity like that. Could be in any industry. We brought in a guy from a moving company, and he was like 32 years old and highly successful. So it was fascinating, especially for the younger crowd. Some of you might recognize Jana Oranger on my slide. She's she used to be known as the pool lady. She's a well-regarded plaster specialist. So about every other year or so, we like to have her give a presentation. You can also rely on APSP. Like there's Mr. Cornelia. He can, I'll bet if you asked him nicely, he'd probably find a way to visit your chapter, or Seth, or any number of people at APSP headquarters might be willing to schedule a visit to your chapter and be a guest speaker. And you can reach out beyond, like this is Joanna McLean. She's senior editor Pool and Spa magazine. We had Erica Taylor. She's the previous one. She came down, spoke to our chapter. Vance Gillette spoke to our chapter, spoke to the Houston chapter. Feel free, just reach out and ask. I mean, the worst thing that can happen is they can say no. You bring in a good speaker, and you're much more likely to get butts in the seats. You also should pick good topics to talk about. Code changes are always a big deal, at least here in Texas. Drought, licensing, construction issues, new technology. Well, let me clarify. New technology is cool, but what we've learned is if it's a sales pitch from a manufacturer, that's usually not very interesting, because most people have their mind already made up. So if they're not interested in switching, then they won't show up. So new technology is good as long as it isn't a sales pitch. Consumer protection issues, sales and marketing topics tend to be a reasonable draw. Retail, e-commerce, sponsored tours, and industry news, events. We always, I say sponsored tours, you know, like a tour of a local manufacturer. We always try to include a little snippet on local news, industry news, well, local or otherwise, anything that might be interesting, so that people, when they show up, they walk away smarter than when they came. I strongly recommend, now this is probably the marketing guy in me, but I strongly recommend that everyone use a PowerPoint and a projector, because it just conveys professionalism. When you walk into a meeting where people are talking, it's a little hard to get the feel of it, especially if you're a first-time visitor. But if you see a big PowerPoint presentation going on there with an agenda, well, then it's like, oh, wow, this is pretty well organized. This must be a pretty serious group. So that works. It keeps the meeting on schedule if you've got an agenda. It certainly communicates better. Most of your guest speakers are going to want to use PowerPoint anyway. So if you don't have it now, find a meeting room where there's the availability to use a projector and PowerPoint. Also, and this is probably the most under-leveraged tool at your disposal, and that is email communication. First of all, every chapter should have some kind of professional email system, be it Constant Contact or MailChimp. You should not be sending it out from your Outlook. It should be coming from a professional system that has anti-spam requirements and all that built into it. So get a professional system. They're not expensive, maybe $15-20 a month. And then I encourage you, don't just invite members. Invite everyone in your area that either is a member or could be a member. And it's very simple. We just went to Google and started searching Pool Builder, Austin, Texas. And we didn't care whether they're a member, because we figure, how are we going to get more people to join if we don't start inviting non-members? Okay. Now we actually charge them a little bit more, so that's an incentive for them to become a member, but invite everyone. Make your list as huge as possible. Get as many people invited as possible. multiple emails every month regarding your meetings, 4 weeks ahead of time, 2 weeks ahead of time, 1 week ahead of time. In fact, we do it typically then on the Monday or Tuesday before the Thursday, and then a final message tonight, meeting tonight, don't forget. And then the next day, this is a really nice touch. Here's what you missed. Send out a little blurb. It says, what a great meeting it was last night. If you weren't there, then you missed out on, and you throw a few teasers and you let everybody see, wow, that does sound like a pretty good meeting. I'm sorry I missed it. It improves the likelihood of people who've been on the fence to more likely show up next time. Make it interesting. Sometimes your suppliers will be willing to offer a giveaway or something, some door prizes. And here's the most important thing. The subject line of your email is crucial. In advertising, they say the headline is 50% of the ad. If you got a crappy headline, then it doesn't matter what you put in the ad because people will, they won't get past the headline. The exact same thing is true with emails. The subject line is the headline for the ad. So make sure your subject line is interesting. For example, don't talk about a drought update. Talk about how to save our industry from drought. Don't talk about interior finishes. Let's talk about the dirty little secrets of the pool plaster business. Don't talk about the new ICC codes. Let's talk about what Austin's new city codes are going to mean to you. Put a little excitement into it, right? You got to sell it, all right? People are, what is it, a body at rest tends to remain at rest. Well, we want to get these resting bodies in motion and get their butts over to our meeting. So sell it, all right? Make it interesting. At least make it sound interesting. I'd also encourage you to leverage social media. You absolutely should have a Facebook page, create an event on the Facebook page. And it could be going to the exact same people, but some people are more likely to see Facebook. Some are more likely to see emails. Hit them all. You can do it in Google Plus also, and it doesn't cost anything. You can tweet if you want to, anything, even LinkedIn. You can use all of those things to reach out to people. Your Facebook page, for example, or any of your social media, it should have information about the meeting. When do you meet? What time do you meet? What's the address? Show us the agenda or something so that people who are just kind of looking around have a sense of what's coming on. If you've got a great presenter, get a photograph. Put that on the social media. Say some stuff about it. Take a short video, anything. Make it interesting. But again, be sure to include your information about where the meeting takes place. Here's a wrapping up here with a few other ways you can help promote your chapter and the meetings. Get your local distributors to post information about your meetings. Like your pool corp, your local pool corp or SCP distributor will almost assuredly be happy to post a little piece of paper that says, APSP Schenectady meeting this Thursday. And so lots of people go through the distributor houses, and you never know. You'll most likely wind up picking up a few more people, just like putting out a yard sign when you're building a pool. Some people that you don't know are going to see that and get interested. You can also form a calling committee. We tried this where we've got 200 people on our list, but there's some of them that we really wish they would attend, but they never have. I call it, it's kind of like a knockdown list, some hot prospects that we really would like to get these people engaged. So we go through our list and highlight the ones that we want to get to attend, and then we split it up. Here, you call these 4 people, you call these 4 people, you call these 4 people, and give them a personal invitation, a phone call, to encourage them to come to the meeting. And it works. Sometimes you got to call them 2, 3, 4, 5 times. Sometimes it takes a year or more, but then boom, all of a sudden they show up. And typically, if you're doing a good job with your meetings, they show up once and they're going to be hooked and they're going to keep coming. I also suggest that on your local board, you may want to assign one person as the membership person and let them focus, especially on the whole issue of trying to get more people to show up and get more people to join. You can also consider modifying your meeting schedule, try different dates, different locations. I wouldn't go crazy with it because people do like routine, but you can always survey your people and find out if they would prefer, well, what if we met on Tuesdays, or what if we met at lunch? Would you be more likely to attend? Things like that. We often get a local person to sponsor a happy half hour, before the meeting starts, and we have great turnout at that. A lot of people, they want to come out, hang out, chat a little bit, and again, if you can get one of your local vendors to sponsor that, it works out great. Or you might even sponsor it by your chapter, but usually your suppliers are happy to do that. And another thing we're trying that works very well, if you try a supplier site meeting instead of meeting at your usual place, like the folks down in Houston, they met at the Ledge Loungers factory. So just on the outside edge of Houston, they had a great turnout. And the sponsor, Ledge Loungers, they brought in a nice dinner, catered dinner and everything. And of course, they got to talk about their product, give everybody a tour of the factory. So it's a real win-win. Great meeting, and the manufacturer got to really show off their stuff. So don't hesitate to try that. I think Houston is now doing that once a quarter. They do it 4 times a year. They'll go off-site to somebody's location. So with that, those are the key points that we picked up. If anybody has any questions for me, feel free to enter them in the chat box. We can answer them now. We can answer them later. And presuming there aren't any questions, I'll turn things over to our next speaker, which would be our Director of Marketing. Well, it's not moving for me, but someone can move that ahead. It's Andrea Wells.
Thank you, Brett. My name is Andrea Wells, and I'm the Director of Marketing and Communication with APSP. I've been working with the WAVE since 2013 when it started as the APSP staff liaison. My current position with them is I work with the 9-member WAVE Young Professional Steering Committee to assist them in creating targeted events at shows, and also to create creative solutions to advance the WAVE network at the local and national level. Thank you, sir. All right. Awesome. And in case you're not familiar with the WAVE, I just want to give you kind of a brief background about what it is. The WAVE network is our young professionals that are targeted to the next generation of pool and hot tub professionals. It's a group of passionate and forward-thinking individuals that are industries and the association's leadership, future leaders. They have joined together to establish their voice and presence in the industry, and are joined together because they face the same challenges and opportunities. They are very passionate, and I'm very proud to be working with them, and I learn so much each year as I do that. But if you would like more information about becoming part of our leadership team or the WAVE, just let me know, and I'll be happy to give you more information. Awesome.
You jumped one.
Oh, sorry. Oh, thank you, sir. So I would love to help you guys get your events and things that you're doing with the WAVE out to everyone. Great ways that I can help you do that is through our APSP weekly e-newsletter, and also by posting on our APSP website. I just need to get that information from you. So if you have that information, please send it to me, and I'll be happy to get that up. I'm always looking for great things people are doing, and I love to get you more attendance to the events. Another great way to get more involved with the WAVE or learn more about us is also by coming to our in-person events at the International Pool Spa Patio Expo and also at the Pool and Spa Show. We usually do 2 a year, and we'd love to help you get connected with other people to either get ideas or just engaged about the future of the industry.
Go back to one.
Awesome. So during the WAVE,
Hit it once. You're good. Give it a moment. There you go.
Awesome. During the WAVE Young Professionals Network Steering Committee Retreat in 2018, the group met with the Georgia chapter members and were really impressed and inspired by the great things that they were doing to reach the next generation of industry leaders. So they decided that a great opportunity would be to create materials, a toolkit, to support their efforts. So a few things that they wanted to do that I can do to actually help you get your message out again is emailing members in your chapter territory. As Brett says, there are opportunities for a system. If you don't have one, I'd be happy to help you get that information out to your chapter territory. Just give me the information. Also, we can promote our events through the e-newsletter and also on our website. Another great opportunity for chapters to get involved is through our awards program. You can get yourself involved as the APSP Chapter of the Year or through the WAVE Young Professionals Network. We do have that every year, and I can get you more information about that. Nominations will start being taken on January the 31st. As I mentioned earlier, when the WAVE Young Professionals and Steering Committee got together this spring, they did create a toolkit for everyone to use. 3 pieces involved in this toolkit. The first piece is the RAT card. And this is a piece that can be easily printed and distributed at your chapter meetings and taken away. It's an easy event that tells more about the WAVE and how people can get involved. 2 other pieces that were created were customizable templates. One is a flyer that you can put your information in or use just as a general information about the WAVE, and another one is letterhead, so we can professionalize and standardize some of the items that you're using to reach the next generation. So you may be wondering, how can I get this toolkit for my own chapter? It's easy. Just email me at awells@apsp.org or reach out through us at the WAVE at apsp.org. Also, to find out more events of what's happening with the WAVE, you can follow us on Facebook at APSP WAVE Network or check on our website at apsp.org/WAVE. You want to join us at our next event at the Pool and Spa Show. This January the 29th from 4 to 5 p.m. as we're featuring Peak Pools, DIY's Network's Pool Kings, as they talk about the future of the industry and what it takes to run a successful family-owned business. And you can register by doing that through the Pool and Spa Show. If you have any questions or need any more information about that Pool and Spa Show event, please email me at awells@apsp.org. Again, my name is Andrea Wells, and I'd be happy to answer any information that you need and get you connected to the next generation. They are great guys, and I'd love to help promote them and get you more involved and help your chapter take advantage of all the tools and resources we have and help promote that to our over 3,000 plus members. Thank you so much. I'm going to turn this over now to Larry, unless anyone has any questions. If you do, please type them in now, or you can always email me, and I'll be happy to get right back to you. So if you have any questions, please do that now. All right, I'm going to turn this now over to our President and CEO, Lawrence Caniglia.
Thanks, Andrea. Okay, see if I can get my screen to move here. Here we go. Hang on a second. Okay, that's sort of me. That's a while ago. So that's really me in the screen up on the top. Well, once again, I want to thank everybody for being here. You've heard a lot of good information so far, some of which you may have already be aware of. Some things are being repackaged and presented again, and some really great new initiatives. The main thing I really want to talk about at this point is what we're calling the new Chapter Growth Initiative. As many of you are well aware, we have, I guess about before 10 years ago, before the bankruptcies and the problems where NSPI went through the 2 bankruptcies and then there was all the lawsuits and all that, at that time we had 54 chapters around the country. We also had a membership of 5,400, roughly 5,400 active member companies who were members of the association. After the bankruptcies, the lawsuit challenges, the sale of the trade show, the different things that have taken place over the years, not to mention the Great Recession of 2008, 9, and 10, 11, however many years you want to count it, that we suffered under in our industry, those numbers have dwindled precipitously. We went from 54 chapters down to, we now have about 25, 26, depending on how you count the chapters. So we're about half the strength in our chapters that we were back in the heyday. Our membership is at 3,100 member companies, which, believe it or not, is actually up substantially from our low numbers of 2,600 4 or 5 years ago. We've actually come back quite a bit. We're definitely on the upswing, which is all good stuff. When I took over here in February, one of the things that we were addressing at that time was, what do we do with the chapters around the country that are struggling, or some of which are really almost non-existent at this point? Well, I call them on life support. So the board of directors here charged me with one of the things to look into was, what can we do about changing that dynamic, and how do we really grow ourselves again with chapters? As many of you on the call probably are well aware, we've paid lip service for many, many years to the theme of let's regrow our chapters, let's get our membership going again. And frankly, a lot of it was really lip service. We really wasn't a lot of oomph behind it. Well, that has changed. A month ago, I've already mentioned earlier today's call that Bob Landa, who has just rotated off the board, he was instrumental while he was on the board in getting this initiative up and going and passed by the board at our last meeting in October. As I also mentioned, Bob has agreed to stay on as a special liaison for this particular chapter growth initiative. This is really the first time that we are seeing, which I'm really, really excited about, and I hope you will be too, that APSP is putting some money and some dollars behind this initiative for all the things you just heard about over the last hour from Brett and Andrea and Sylvia. Now there's some actual money and some real muscle power behind this to hopefully make this work. As you are well aware, if you are in one of our struggling chapters, one of the things that sets the strong chapters apart from the struggling chapters tends to be, other than of course the lack of funding, most of the chapters who are struggling must rely on volunteers for all of their administrative work, setting up meetings, communicating with members, financial transactions, scheduling education programs, organizing events, golf outings, all the things that Brett talked about, all the great things that we should be doing as chapters to get our message out there and how do we promote everything. Well, that has to be done by volunteers, and volunteers are busy people. You all have businesses to run. You know, you're working full time, if not time and a half, and you know you've got kids and families and all that. And you may be in the WAVE group and you want to get more involved, but it's hard, you know, because there's a lot of things that you just don't have the time to do. So, and one thing where we see that really coming through loud and clear are for the chapters that are struggling because of a lack of administrative help and having to rely strictly on volunteers. Not to say that not all the chapters that work with just volunteers are not successful. Some are very successful. They tend to be the outliers. The more typical scenario is the chapters without chapter admins that are relying strictly on volunteers are really struggling. So how can APSP help our struggling chapters? Well, there are several different types and levels of support that we're going to be able to start offering. We've already started it. As Sylvia also pointed out, she already showed one of our chapters already taking advantage of our new education portal, which you know, has a lot of great features to it, and it's going to help all the chapters who want to take advantage of that. Basically, chapters who want to revitalize and grow are going to work with APSP, with Seth Ewing and Kenya Thomas here in our membership department to help develop a 3-year business plan. And we'll talk about that a little bit more in a couple of minutes. But basically, it's going to be a 3-year plan that the chapters who want to take advantage of this new initiative will work with Seth and those of us, not just Seth and Kenya, but also the rest of us here on staff, Andrea if it's communications, or if it's WAVE, Regan if it's GR, whatever the case may be. We're here to help you, and we're going to be working together to develop this 3-year business plan to make you successful. This plan may include financial support from APSP. I talked about the dollars again. There's dollars here we're going to talk about in a little more detail in a moment. However, of course, regardless of what type of plan a chapter wants to sign up for, there will be accountability on both our part, that is on the part of APSP, and on the chapter's part. I know, you know, I've been around for 14 years. Many of you know me. You know, I've been here a long time, not here at APSP, but I've been here in the industry for a long time at NESPA. And we've all heard the same arguments and the same complaints over the years. And in the past, APSP has given lip service to things, or they really don't hold themselves accountable. I'm telling you, those days are over. We are accountable, and we're going to be accountable to you, but we need you to be accountable to us with these plans. So the APSP and chapter responsibilities. So this 3-year plan is going to have duties and responsibilities for both of us. Let's talk about what APSP's responsibilities will be under these plans. First is education. As Sylvia pointed out, any chapter that wants an APSP university portal will receive that portal, and as Sylvia explained, it will be no charge up front. We're waiving those fees for the chapters who want to take part in this. This is a way to not only help your members and hopefully some non-members who will become members get the education and training that they need, but it also is going to help your chapter with non-dues revenue, which you will need to survive and to prosper. We're also going to help you conduct additional promotion in your chapter geographical area for chapter events such as education, golf outings, whatever the case may be. And that's where Andrea and the communications and marketing department comes in. As Andrea pointed out, it's not just with WAVE she's here to help. She's here to help with all your communications needs as you need it. And we want to make that part of your business plan. Government relations. Regan did a great explanation of what APSP does in GR. I'm going to use the acronym GR. It stands for Government Relations. We're here to help you with all the different support that you will need. Regan went through a lot of stuff. There was a lot more she didn't have time to go through, but there's a lot that goes on in government relations. I can tell you, whether you realize it or not, the number one reason why our members tell us they join APSP and the local chapter, the number one reason is for education and training. The number two reason is advocacy. It's to protect your businesses from overreach of government, bad regulations, and to make sure we have good relationships with our government regulators and legislators. And that's what the GR department does here, and that's what we need you to understand, that we're here to help you. And that's Regan and Jen Hatfield in that department. Membership. As many of you probably already know, Seth Ewing, who's our Director of Membership, and Kenya Thomas, who works with Seth in the membership department. We want to make sure you understand that APSP has had this program for the past couple of years, which is part of a revenue share that the chapters can take advantage of. Many of you over the years have taken advantage of this, but you've fallen off over the past few years, and we know a lot of it has to do, it goes back to that same question, a lack of administrative help in your chapter level, difficulty getting paperwork in that's required by law, that we have to have certain things to make us legal, keep us legal with the IRS, and make sure that we do everything right so we don't get in trouble or the chapters don't get in trouble. But in order to get that done, as I just mentioned, a lot of you are relying on volunteers to do it, and frankly, it simply falls by the wayside and it's not getting done. What you're giving up for that, in the past, what has happened is the revenue share works this way. For every new member that comes into your chapter gets 50% of the first year's dues. The typical dues are $599, rounded off, make it $600. That means for every new Category 2 member that comes in, your chapter would get $300 for the first year. The second year, you get 40% of that member's dues, but you still get 50% of any new members you bring in that year, and this keeps going. So the third year, that first year member who became a second year member is now a third year member, they get 30% of the dues. After that, it goes to 20% for up to 8 years, and then it drops off. But as you can see, that's a real nice way to get additional revenue by bringing in members for your chapter. As I mentioned, one of the reasons why we've noticed a lot of the chapters have fallen off this is because you've had to rely upon volunteers to do the paperwork. I can tell you right now, those days are over. One of the things that we are here for here at APSP is we will help you with your paperwork. If you choose to continue on and work strictly with volunteers, or if you already have a part-time administrator and you need any help at all with getting the paperwork done, please reach out to Seth or Kenya. Let us know. We'll get you through the paperwork. We don't want you to lose the money because the paperwork wasn't done. That's silly. It's counterproductive, and we don't want that to happen. Seth is going to share with you our prospect list and our lapsed member list here at APSP. We will also help conduct any direct mail, email, or telemarketing outreach to the non-members in your area. Again, we're here to help. Seth's department, that's what it's all about, is business development and membership development, and whatever we can do here, we're going to make it happen. Now, here's the new stuff. Chapter administrative support. We have two options here for you to consider. The first option is what we call the internal option. Andrea alluded to it. Regan spoke a bit about it. Sylvia's talked about it a bit. What it really comes down to is that if your chapter is happy with not having a paid part-time administrator and you feel like you're doing okay, you just need some help. You're not looking for a part-time person to work for you. You really just need some help in getting maybe your template for your meetings and events done, helping promote your meetings and events, getting your paperwork, as I just mentioned, your paperwork and necessary filings done, support for chapter meetings and volunteers. If you're just looking for some of those types of support options, we call that the internal option. That's available right now. All we need to do, we need to hear from you. What do you need from us? Reach out to Seth. Have a conversation with Seth. He's very approachable. What do you need? He's going to ask you a million questions. Well, what can we do to help you? What are the kinds of things we can do to help support your chapter? That's the kind of conversation that we need to have, because we're here to do that, and it's going to all be done through what we call the internal option. The other one is, this is where the money, or where the rubber meets the road. This is the money option. This is what we call the external option, or the third-party option. This is where APSP is willing to invest in any chapter that wants to take advantage of this financial support. What it would be is that APSP would provide the funding for your chapter to hire a part-time administrator. This part-time administrator would work for you, would work for your chapter. Of course, again, it goes back to the business plan. We come up with a business plan. If part of your business plan is, we need a part-time chapter administrator, we're going to build that right in there. We're going to figure out, okay, this is going to be APSP's investment. As I'm going to show you in a moment, APSP is going to invest 100% in the first year. We're going to pay that for you to make sure that cost is covered. That part-time chapter administrator is going to be able to assist you with several things, among which are getting your legal paperwork done, meeting and event planning, setting up your conference calls, notifying your members of place, time, and calling instructions, how to log in, working with the president of your chapter to establish your meeting agendas, keeping and publishing the minutes of your board meetings, sending information to your board members in advance of calls and meetings, communications to chapter members, all those things that Brett talked about. That's what this part-time administrator is going to help you do, if not do it completely for you. The marketing part, again, all the things that Andrea talked about and Brett talked about, that's what a part-time administrator can do for you. The financial transactions, record keeping, bank transactions, that's what this person does. You know, as I mentioned before, and those of you who know me, coming from the NESPA region, there are 4 strong chapters in NESPA. Every chapter has a part-time administrator. Every chapter's part-time administrator does exactly what I put on that slide for you. So that, what is one of the reasons why the NESPA chapters are so successful? They've got a great volunteer leadership network there that relies heavily on their part-time administrators and vice versa to make things happen there. And it can happen for you too, for your chapter as well. Those of you who've been around long enough to know when you had administrators, you know how much better it probably was back in the day when you had someone that you could call upon to help you with your chapter. We're trying to help you get back there again if that's what you want to do. That third-party contractor, by the way, is what we call the administrator, would be hired by APSP to help you get started, and then, of course, help grow your chapter. So, if you want to go with this financial investment from APSP, this is the part-time administrator part, which we would be subsidizing. APSP would work with your chapter. Seth would be working with you to help identify a suitable administrator. It would make sense that the administrator is going to be someone who's closer to you. Somebody, if the Michigan chapter wants a part-time administrator, it's going to be pretty obvious that you're going to want someone who's going to be working for you in Michigan. If it's somebody in Florida, of course, you're going to want somebody in the Florida area and so forth. We would work with you on a budget to be set for the payment. As I mentioned, for the first year, APSP would invest 100% of the dollars to make that happen. In the second year, because part of your business plan is that you're going to see that at the end of your first year, you're going to have enough income coming in your second year that you're going to be able to afford at least a third of the cost of your chapter administrator. By the third year, you should be picking up at least 2/3 of the cost of the chapter administrator, so that by the end of the third year, you are now self-sufficient and you're on your way. And the investment that APSP made in your chapter is a win-win for everybody. You've got a strong chapter. We've got a strong chapter. You've got more members. We've got more members. We're all one industry, all one association. So this plan is going to show that at the end of these 3 years, you are self-sufficient, and hopefully we're working on lots of different things in the future and not figuring out ways to help you survive, but instead help you grow and help you prosper. So the chapter responsibilities, what does the chapter have to do? For education, the chapter has to promote APSP certifications. All those things that Sylvia talked about, how are you going to do that? You're going to talk about certifications at your chapter meetings. If you have a newsletter, you're going to put in your newsletter. When you do your mass emails, you're going to put in your emails. In your social media, as Brett pointed out, every chapter should have a social media presence. on your social media presence. You're going to promote that. You're going to conduct one in-person education symposium a year. That means whether or not you have the portal or not, you're going to have at least one education symposium. You are going to support the PPSO over CPO. And you're going to operate an APSP University portal. We cannot impress upon you enough how important this portal is going to be for the growth of your chapter and for the benefit that your members are looking for. WAVE participation. All the great things that Andrea talked about, you're going to encourage and seat at least one member of WAVE to serve on your local chapter board. I can't imagine any chapter not wanting WAVE participation. They are our future. They are the future leaders of our industry. Many of them are already the leaders of our industry. We want to encourage that growth for the growth of our chapters and the industry and our association as well. Networking events. You're going to have at least one networking event per year, which can be in conjunction with another event. You have a holiday party, you do an education symposium, that's your networking event, that's your education symposium. You've knocked out two birds with one stone. There's lots of different ways to make this chapter responsibility work. This is the absolute minimum things that you need to do. You're going to find that as you start to get up and running, get yourself strengthened again, you're going to want to do and be able to do a lot more of these events as the years roll on. GR, government relations. As Regan pointed out, you need to help us help you. You're going to share any legislative or regulatory issues that you hear about. You're going to let Regan or Jen Hatfield know, hey, there's something that just happened in Oklahoma City, which, believe it or not, that actually did happen. Something happened in Oklahoma City earlier this year, and that's how we got word of it. It came in from a member in Oklahoma. And Jen Hatfield was able to jump on it and make things happen there. We need to hear from you because, as Regan pointed out, not everything that happens do we get notice of from stateside. They're really good at what they give us, but a lot of things that are happening on your local level you hear about before we do. We need to hear from you. It might be necessary for you to hold a day on the Hill events to address issues at your local or state level. And hopefully you will be able to promote and encourage donations to the APSP Government Relations Fund. None of this is free. Any help that we can get with GR, with government relations, is greatly appreciated and sorely needed. Membership. Do things to help create membership. Conduct a member, get a member campaign. Remember, every member you bring in, you get 50% of it. You're going to share your prospects with APSP National. Seth and Kenya have some great databases and great lists of non-members and fallen away members and all that, but you're local. You know the companies in your area. You're the ones that know the ones that maybe they're not on our database, but you know who they are. Share those prospects with Seth and Kenya so we can get some word out to them as well. And of course, you're going to promote membership at all of your events. Before I jump to that. That's pretty much it, in a nutshell, so to speak. And I'm now, open to take any questions that you have. I know I threw a lot at you in a quick amount of time, but if there's any questions, I can try to answer. Seth, do we have anything that's popping up?
We had a question here. The tax filings are difficult. Can you assist with this? And I think the short answer is yes. Absolutely.
I can't tell you when I came on board here and I was working with Lorna Watkins, who has. We've shifted things around. Lorna is now working with councils and committees. Seth and Kenya are now strictly working with chapters, initially with chapters. One of the things that Lorna showed me was, she was showing me how the chapters have started falling off of this revenue sharing thing, and she was showing me the paperwork that you guys have to file. I'm an attorney, and I got to tell you, looking at some of that paperwork, I had trouble with it. And I'm thinking to myself, I don't understand how the volunteers can be expected to fill out all this paperwork when you're talking about legal documents here. That's why, believe me when I tell you, anything that there's an issue, such as your legal filings have to be done, please let us know what it is that you need to get done. We will help you. We will help you make it happen. We'll get it done for you. I don't want you suffering and not getting your revenue share because some filing that you don't know how to do, you're struggling with it. Let us struggle with that instead. Questions?
We have no more questions, but again, if you have any questions, just put them in the question box and we'll get them answered right away.
Okay. One second here. I'm actually not Donna Williams, so I'm going to speak for Donna for a moment. Donna could not be here on the call today, but Donna is our new APSP chairman of the board. Donna took over at our at the annual meeting on October 28th in Las Vegas. I know what Donna would want to say because she was, of course, at the Expo meeting in Las Vegas. She wanted to thank everybody, first of all, for being at the meeting or being on the call today. She wants to thank you for your commitment and for the support and the energy that you bring to our association. With a strong association, we're a strong industry. She looks forward to working with everybody around the country over the next year. If she hasn't met you already, I'm sure she'll probably get a chance to meet you because she travels a lot. And if you don't already know her, you probably will get to know her over the next year. With that, I would like to ask Bob Landa. Bob, if you can come back on, I don't see you on my screen. If you can come back up, there we go. I'd like to turn it back over to Bob now as our special chapter liaison to say a few words in closing. Bob?
Thank you again, Larry. Wow, you know, APSP has been busy. They're constantly working on building tools to support our chapters. Graph, the Wave, marketing, and all the tools. Our membership shares, along with our new educational opportunities, are all a great source of future revenue streams. And we have a lot more to come. If you have any future questions or want to discuss anything in detail, please reach out to Seth or Larry or me. They're going to put a contact page up there with some information, I hope, on the screen. Also, you can get to us on our website at apsp.org. You know, we really care. We want to thank you all again for your passion and your support. The chapters, the volunteers, and the members are the association. You know, we'd like to wish you all and your family a wonderful holiday season. Thank you so much. Let's take another moment to see if any more questions have come through.
Stand by, Bob.
I do not have any questions at this time. Again, if anyone has questions for anyone here on today's webinar, just please enter it here, and we'll try to get it answered right away.
I did have one question, Seth. After the chapter forum, we had emailed out the slides. I think Lorna sent the slides out to anybody that wanted to see them. Can we do that again here? What we'll also do is we'll put today's slides into a PDF, which is probably the easiest way to do it. We'll put it into a PDF, and either Andrew or Seth will get it out to everybody on the call today, so you'll have all this information again in front of you. And one more time, please, if you look on the Contact Us page, please reach out to any of us, particularly Seth, if you're talking about chapter plans, you know, for we went over, or Regan or Andrea, anybody else that you want to reach out to regarding a particular question or topic. Okay, with that, I guess we can close the webinar. Again, thank you all for attending. We ended up a little bit earlier, which is good. And with that, I guess we can close the meeting. All right. Thank you, everybody. Have a good day.
And God bless.
Thanks, Larry. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Bye now.